Michael Kelland Hutchence was born in Sydney and raised in Hong Kong, where he made his performing debut at the age of 8 in a toy commercial. Returning to Australia in his teens, he struck up a great friendship with the Farris brothers, Andrew, Tim and John, and along with Gary Beers and Kirk Pengilly, formed their first band, which eventually became In Excess. With his smouldering looks and sex god singing style, Michael quickly became the band's frontman. And by 1985, with the release of Listen Like Thieves, they'd crafted their signature mature rock sound, influenced by the Rolling Stones and 70s disco outfit Chic. After 10 years and 5 albums, In Excess were finally making a name for themselves on the international charts. A year before the release of the wildly successful 6th album, Kick, they were perched on the edge of rock and roll superstardom, and Michael was lined up for an interview on Britain's coolest music show, The Tube. Flirting and fawning over Michael like a lovesick puppy, interviewer Paula Yates was engaged to Boomtown Rat singer Bob Geldof, with whom she'd already had daughter Fifi Trixie Bell. She went on to marry Bob that August and had 2 more girls, Peaches and Angel. Michael went on to woo the hitherto squeaky clean Kylie Minogue. Helping to sex up her image, he was once quoted as saying that corrupting Kylie was his favourite pastime. He also made it into the gossip pages for romances with supermodel Elle Macpherson and singer Belinda Carlisle. However, on meeting Paula again during an interview for The Big Breakfast Show, the fateful attraction couldn't be denied, and in 1994 she left Bob for Michael. And the wheels began falling off both their lives. While Paula and Bob were fighting a bitter custody battle through the courts, Michael was having his own issues with the law. In September 1995, he was fined for assaulting a photographer. Later that month, he emerged from Paula's house to tackle a pack of paparazzi, hungry for news about Paula's bankruptcy issues. A clearly intoxicated Michael laid the blame at Bob's door.
With the court today, it's a little thing going through the court, because Mr. Geldof has kept his inability to be able to move out of a house, so it's Paula's house, so she can get some money for her children. He will refuse to do that. There's a little piece of thing going through the court that is allowing her to pay her money, okay? Okay? It's got nothing to do with anything to do with you. Okay. It's private, okay? Everything's fine.
Things seemed to settle down for a while when Paula, already heavily pregnant with Michael's child, won custody of her 3 daughters. Emerging from court with her ex-husband, she was all smiles.
I'm jolly happy.
Bob left court with his tail between his legs, but the fight was far from over. 3 months later, the home Paula shared with Michael was raided while they were overseas.
Police say they seized a quantity of controlled drugs here, believed to be opium.
Bob promptly won custody of the girls, leaving Paula and Michael to care for their 4-month-old daughter, Heavenly Hirani Tiger Lily. By the end of 1996, Michael's career had reached an all-time low. In Excess output had slowed to a crawl, and recent releases had received lukewarm responses. They were under pressure to produce something special, and they returned to the studio to look for it. The result was Elegantly Wasted, the best-received In Excess album in years, with some reviewers rating Michael's vocal performance as the best of his career. They went back on the road and the band was pumped ahead of their shows in South Africa.
And then we just went off and did all our solo side, whatever projects. The team acted in a film, all kinds of things going on. And then Andrew just called me up and said, "What are you doing?" And I was working up in Connecticut with No Talking Just Heads, you know, that project with Chris and Tina. And he said, "Do you want to get together?" So we just kept it very casual, like when we were, you know, 15 again. And I said, "Yeah, let's get together that weekend there." And we're a week there and a weekend there. And over 9 months, while we were writing the songs, we were recording them at the same time, like what you call demos. Sort of gone full circle. You know, you sort of start off, we started off very young, you know, 14, 15, 16 kind of, and 20 years ago, and then you kind of grow up and you move apart and you do your own thing and sort of try and, you know, you from families to whatever, and then you sort of get that over with, and then we're back as a gang again. So at the moment we're sort of, it's like a full circle. It's feeling really good, you know.
He seemed to be loving teaming up again with the band that had become as close as family.
Having different opinions is the best bit. It's like a marriage, you know. If you're both the same, you'll bore each other to death in the end. You know, you've got to be interested in what, like, why does someone think that? You know, why does he want to do that? That's weird, you know. Or why is he listening to that? Or, you know, why is he wearing that? Why is he drinking coffee?
Despite the ongoing arguments with Paula's ex-husband over access to their children, Michael appeared to have it all to live for on a trip home to Sydney in November 1997. However, on the morning of the 22nd, at the age of 37, he was found dead in his room at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Double Bay. A belt found at the scene suggested he had hung himself, and the coroner cried suicide. However, actress and old flame Kim Wilson, who had been the last person to see Michael alive, claimed he had shown no signs of being suicidal. Various rumours and anecdotal evidence suggested that Michael's death may have been the accidental result of autoerotic asphyxiation, but those reports were never confirmed, and a devastated Paula rushed to Sydney.
Paula received this terrible news in the early hours of this morning. She's naturally devastated by what's happened. By what's been said.
Even Bob was in shock.
I'm sorry to sound like, you know, a parrot or something, but I never have, and I probably never will.
Obviously, you are sad though about the death.
Well, I issued a statement on Friday, and you know, I expressed my feelings then, and I said I'd nothing further to add, and I haven't, you know.
Luminaries from the rock and roll world made the pilgrimage to Michael's Sydney funeral. Paula clung to Tiger Lily like a lifebuoy for support, but by the time she left the cathedral, she was sinking fast. The inquest declared Michael's death suicide, but she refused to believe he would ever have left her intentionally, and Paula spiraled into a drug-fueled abyss. Trips to rehab and reports of interventions by those close to her did nothing to slow her descent. While battling her grief and addictions, she was locked in a battle with Michael's family for custody of Tiger Lily. The mounting legal costs, added to her expensive habits, put an ever-increasing strain on her finances. And with nearly all of her money gone, she was forced to sell much of the jewellery that Bob had bought her, just to pay the bills. Her straitened circumstances also forced her to downsize from a 3-story terrace to the modest mews she shared with Tiger Lily in Notting Hill. To add to her woes, in 2002 she discovered that her mother had been unfaithful to the man she called her father. To her dismay, it was announced that her real father had in fact been television game show host Hughie Green. Shortly after receiving the news, she was found dead of an accidental heroin overdose at the age of 40. Her body was discovered by 4-year-old Tiger Lily, who now lives with her older sisters and stepfather.